Hello. Oh, I hope I haven't ruined this. Anybody out there? Yay! Hello, everybody. Oh my goodness. It's so great. Okay. I apologize in advance if this gets super clunky. It probably will. I am going to, am I recording? Let me just check. I think I am. Yes, I am. Okay, excellent. Oh, so lovely to have you guys here. This is absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. I'm so happy to have you gorgeous people here. Oh my goodness. I feel totally overwhelmed. Thank you. This is something I did not think that I would be doing, but it feels magical to be doing it on this Aquarius full moon. I'm trying not to look at myself on the Facebook Live because it's very disorienting, but I want to see your comments. So I am going to try and do both. So this is, as I mentioned on the little post previously, this is it feels like a special full moon. I think because, as so many of us have already experienced this year, it's been a super strange year. Last year was profoundly, epically difficult, and this year feels very difficult at a much more mundane level. And I think that's where the challenges really lie. And in a way, I feel like this full moon is really speaking to that in some sense. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about the energies and some of the archetypal symbolism of this full moon. So basically, when we have a full moon, we have the sun and the moon opposing each other. And in ancient astrology, some of you know that I'm actually studying ancient astrology at the moment. The sun represents our vital motivating force. It's, oh no, so good to see you. I wish it was like a real Zoom meeting and I could see all your faces right now. Maybe I can I? I don't know. Oh, no, I'm going to do something wrong. So, as I said, the sun is our motivating, vital life force. It's our inspiration, it's our aspirations, our ambitions, our conscious development in life. It's the spark that motivates us to move forward in life. So in our natal charts, wherever the sun is, indicates like what we're motivated by in our lives. When the sun is moving through the zodiac, it takes on the energy of whichever sign that it's in. So at the moment, the sun has moved into 1 degree of Leo, and Leo is the sign of the heart. Hello, beautiful people. Pilsy, gorgeous to see you. So Leo is a sign of the heart, and it represents the kind of the noble expression of our true sense of self-expressed. It's the artist, it's the lover, the heartfelt lover. It's the individual really self-expressed. So the sun is really kind of motivating us towards a strong sense of self-expression this month, and particularly because this month, as I mentioned, is bookended, or this Leo season, I should say, rather than a month, although it is around about a month, is bookended by 2 full moons in Aquarius. And every year we have one sign that gets 2 full moons, and this year it is Aquarius. And the first happens at 1 degree and the second happens at 29 degrees. So that is really saying to me that we are being focused so clearly towards finding our truth as individuals and how we express ourselves from the heart and in creative ways and shine that out into the world. The moon symbolically represents kind of the changing fluctuations of life. It's the circumstances of life. It's our environment in life. And the moon this month is in Aquarius. And Aquarius represents society, our friendship networks, our groups, our associations, the world at large. It also represents our hopes and dreams. And this is why it's so important, I think, at the moment that we really get anchored in our sense of what we love and deeply care for, and get connected to who we are trying to be in the world, who we are wanting to be, who we deeply desire to be because it's true to our hearts. Because this is what we're wanting to shine out into the world, into our communities. And this, what we want to be doing is really connecting it to our hopes and dreams, because Aquarius rules the future, and the future is shaped by our hopes and dreams. And if we don't shape it according to our hopes and dreams, we, by default shape it to our fears. So this is a really powerful month to kind of get reoriented to what our dreams, inspirations and intentions are. Because it's been quite disorienting this year in some ways, or rather deeply challenging. And the other thing that I've mentioned is that this full moon at 1 degree of Aquarius reactivates that Saturn-Jupiter conjunction, which happened on the summer solstice for us in Australia, on the 21st of December in 2020. And that, as many of you know, was a hugely important transition historically. Not only does this conjunction only happen every 20 years, and it shapes the next 20 years of societal change, growth, trends, as well as the major themes that are taking place in our own lives. So whatever shifted on the summer solstice in 2020 for each of us is really the beginning of what we are going to be working towards for the next 20 years, which is why this is a really important time to kind of reactivate our intentions and to adjust. Full moons are about the completion of something coming to consciousness and awareness, but the need to refine, readjust, and reorient ourselves to make some changes so that we can move forward more closely aligned and in better mechanical condition towards those intentions. So, as I said, not only did that conjunction begin a 20-year cycle, it also began a 200-year cycle. So this is really important. It's way more important than it would usually be. And these Saturn-Jupiter conjunctions are already important. And not only was it a 200-year cycle, it was also the beginning of an 800-year cycle, because they hadn't met in Aquarius, Saturn and Jupiter, for 800 years. And when they did meet last time, it was world-changing. And no surprises, that's exactly where we are now. It is a world-changing moment. And yet we are now kind of anchored or mired in the mundane and difficult part of that world-changing experience. It has felt very heavy. And Saturn rules Aquarius. Saturn is in Aquarius now. We've had Jupiter transiting through Pisces, which it rules, but on this week coming, it is going to, and the date, let me check the date, my dates are all getting confused. It is going to move back into Aquarius on the 28th, Wednesday the 28th, it's going to move back. So we're really having this reactivated Aquarian energy happening. So Saturn does bring some heaviness to this year. The other thing, of course, that's happening this year that's being reactivated again by this full moon in Aquarius is that Saturn is squaring Uranus all year long. We've had two of 3 exact squares between these two planets. Uranus and Saturn both rule Aquarius. Saturn is the planet I think that everybody perhaps fears the most because it is the experience of heaviness and hardship and depression and obligation and restrictions and obstacles and limitations and decrease and death and decay and dying. All those negative words are associated with Saturn, but they're not all that Saturn's about. Saturn is really about, it throws obstacles into our path so that we can mature to become the people that we're meant to be. It represents wisdom. It represents growth, age, maturity. Saturn does throw a lot of obstacles, a lot of hurdles, and a lot of restrictions and limitations in our path. But if we do the disciplined Saturnian work, which is our own to do, and it is located in a different place in each of our charts, and that's the area where we need to develop discipline and maturity in our lives. And when we do that, it rewards us eventually. But at the moment, we are feeling the force of repression and it's so funny. I always lose my words when I think about Saturn. I'm restricted. My vocabulary is restricted when I try to define how difficult Saturn is. It's, kind of the withholding experience as well. And, the lack and scarcity and fear are all Saturnian words. Saturn is squaring Uranus, which is the planet of rebellion, revolution, revolt, unexpected, shocking shifts and changes. So, this year, as with last year, but certainly this year, we are continuing to see this tension. The square is a tension because the two planets that are facing off with each other in the square are not alike. They are coming up against each other in a sharp angle. However, it is a manifesting angle because it generates change. It generates positive change eventually, but it's through very uncomfortable tension. And, Saturn is the restriction and the kind of the authoritarian, oppressive power. And Uranus is the part of us that goes, fuck you. I'm not doing it. I'm doing my own thing. We're seeing people rebel against, restrictions and lockdown stuff and blah, 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 blah. All of that stuff is so completely on point with this energy. And both planets rule Aquarius, as I've mentioned already, I'm sure. So it is this really interesting tension. Can I tell you about our individual Saturn focus? Absolutely. I would love to do that. So now if you guys if you don't know your rising signs, you might want to get those, go on to astro.com and find your rising sign, but I'm sure you probably all do. What we might do, Anna, is after I'll tell a couple of little stories I want to mention about Aquarius, and then we might move into individual Saturn focuses. That would be a great idea. And we can look at where the full moon is also activating our chart, so that the areas of life that we can really set some intentions and some readjustments, and the Saturn focus is a great idea. So a couple of stories that I did want to mention about this energy that I feel are quite relevant right now. Saturn and Uranus in mythology, they're father and son. So Uranus was the primordial sky god, and he was born of Gaia without any male seed. And then he married Gaia and Gaia gave birth to the Titans. Cronus was one of the Titans. Uranus started hiding the last of Gaia's children from her, and she was really angry, and so she convinced Kronos, Saturn, to castrate Uranus to take away his power. He did. He castrated his father, and his testicles fell into the sea, and the foam from his testicles turned into Aphrodite. But it also severed heaven and earth, and it began a new reign in the Greek sort of era, mythological era, the Golden Age, and Kronos, Saturn, ruled that age. But Saturn's parents, Gaia and Uranus, told him that he would kind of be punished for this in some way, because one of his children would take his power in time as well. And so he was so afraid of losing power as the king of the gods that he ate all of his children. He married his sister Rhea and he ate his first 5 children. Finally, when Zeus was born, Zeus is Jupiter in the Greek tradition. Rhea basically tricked Kronos and gave him a stone to eat, and Zeus grew up and then overthrew his father, and then Zeus became the king of the gods. And then, so this kind of father-son relationship, this reluctance to give up power, is very closely connected to Aquarius, because one of the other symbolic sort of factors of Aquarius is this idea of social justice, this idea that there should be equality between all people, that we all have the right to be seen and expressed and to have our place in the world as individuals who are fully and authentically expressed. And under those, the dynamics of those kind of father authoritarian rule, that was not possible. And then the second story that I want to connect with this is the story of Ganymede, who is the actual character symbolized by the constellation of Aquarius, and that brings us back to Zeus. So the story of Ganymede is that he was one of the most beautiful youths in Greece, in mythical Greece. He was minding his father's sheep on Mount Ida, and Zeus saw him and fell for him straight away and turned himself into an eagle and dove down and took Ganymede up to Mount Olympus to make him his official cupbearer and lover. And Ganymede was not happy about this. He was really devastated. He didn't want to be separated from his home and his land. He didn't want to be Zeus's lover. Zeus was we all know the stories of Zeus. He was raping left, right, and center. And yet Ganymede was enslaved in this place, in heaven, basically, but it was not good for him. And he wasn't able to escape. And so eventually he revolted. He became so angry that he poured out the cup. He was a cupbearer. He poured out all of the ambrosia, the wine, and the water of the gods out of the cup and onto the earth, and initiated these inundating rains that caused the great flood that is famous in all the myths of all the religions and all the cultures around the world. And in all of those stories, the Great Flood was a rectification of a scenario in society where things had gotten so rotten, so bad, that only a flood would provide the opportunity for a new beginning where we could start afresh and from a place that was truer. So when Ganymede poured the waters out, Zeus was furious and wanted to punish him. And this is the promise of Aquarius, I think, and why the Aquarian age is considered to be a golden age, the return to a golden age. Because up until this point, those very powerful patriarchs do not want to let go of power, and they will punish anybody who threatens it. In this story, Ganymede revolts and he says, no, I will not be imprisoned in this circumstance anymore. And I may not be able to get out myself, but I'm going to pour out what you value. And I'm going to liberate us from this scenario. And Zeus wants to punish him initially, but in that moment, he has a very, very rare experience of self-reflection. Zeus, the god of, I believe what I believe and I don't care what anybody else thinks. He had a moment of deep self-reflection, and he realized that he had been unfair to Ganymede. And so instead of punishing him and killing him, he made him immortal and placed him in the sign of Aquarius. So I feel that this is symbolic for this time because it really kind of reflects to me the challenges that we're experiencing in the world and how heavy and hard they appear to be, and how in certain times and places and contexts in our life, our daily life, we may feel like we don't have a lot of power. We do. And that power is actually quite small. Another one of the things that's happening at the moment astrologically is that Venus has just moved into Virgo. And Venus is in fall in Virgo, so she's not super happy about being there, because Venus really just likes to be able to lie around on a chaise lounge and eat chocolates and drink wine. That's where she's really happy. But in Virgo, she's compelled to work to make a more beautiful life. So that's what she's doing. And that's actually really helping us, because this desire to make life more beautiful by doing things that require energy and improvement and effort, they make life instantly more beautiful. And that also helps us develop the discipline that we need to carve out this life for ourselves, which is the life that we want to have, that we want to live into for the next 20 years. And discipline is required to do that, as much as rebellion from the circumstances that we find ourselves in, that we feel trapped in our lives right now. So they're the two huge focuses for each of us individually and collectively at the moment. Where can we bring more discipline? Where do we need to bring more discipline into our lives to grow the life we want? And where do we need to break free of limitations, restrictions, old beliefs, etc., that are keeping us locked into a small and difficult and painful experience of our lives? That's Uranus. So this is the dynamic here, and that Venusian energy can really help us to build that discipline in a way that's more beautiful, so it doesn't feel like, oh, heavy, hard, painful Saturn. We can bring some beauty and some delight to it. So now we will look at Saturn stuff. I thought that I might do, now that I've run through a couple of other facts that I wanted to mention about Saturn and why Saturn feels so hard. But Saturn is actually a very mystical planet. I've been listening to the astronomical descriptions of Saturn, which are just absolutely mind-blowing. It is the furthest planet, visible planet. We have further planets, obviously, than Saturn, but in ancient astrology, it was the furthest planet because it was the furthest we could see. And it is 1.3 billion kilometers from Earth. And so it's a cold planet. It's a gas giant. And the gravity is a word that relates to Saturn. Even, 4,000 years ago, they knew that Saturn was related to gravity. The gravity is so strong on Saturn that the atmosphere and the way that matter works on that planet is absolutely bizarre and mind-blowing. One of the things that happens on Saturn is that, there's like 26,000 kilometers of atmosphere on Saturn, and it's all gas. There's a ring about 100 kilometers into the atmosphere. There's water, ice, and lightning, and the lightning strikes 3,000 degrees Celsius, and it turns the carbon soot into graphite, and the graphite rains down, and under the pressure, Saturn's pressure, the graphite turns into diamonds. It rains diamond hail on Saturn, and that diamond hail travels for like 30,000 kilometers until it reaches, the heart, the center of Saturn is like 8,000 degrees Celsius or something. And so when it reaches a certain degree, the diamond hail turns into liquid diamonds. I mean, it's just mind-blowing. But the point being that Saturn is not all bad. So we want to kind of harness some of the magic of Saturn as well. I was going to do a little meditation. Do you guys feel like that would be a good thing to do right now? Or would you rather, actually, first of all, I might run through the rising signs and show you where the full moon is happening in your house, in which house of yours, rather, the full moon's happening. So I have a little wheel here that I use to show myself where things are happening. So if you have an Aries ascendant, which I do, Then the full moon is happening up here in Aquarius, obviously in your 11th house. So it's affecting your friendships. The moon is really illuminating how you show up in your networks, in your communities, how you want to, really putting a focus on your dreams and your hopes for the future, and for where things need to be kind of corrected to grow into the life that you want to be living. And it's really asking you to connect to the heart and to your creative self-expression. That's if you're an Aries rising. If you are a Taurus rising, then you have the full moon happening in your 10th house, which means if you're a Taurus, this is really illuminating, a Taurus rising, this is. And if you don't know your rising sign, you can read it as your sun sign. That does work as well. But looking at your ascendant makes it very specific in terms of the houses that it's affecting for you, literally. So if you're a Taurus rising, it is really going to illuminate how things, your hopes and dreams in relation to career, and how you show up in communities and how that impacts your career. I'm going to do this very quickly so we can move through. So if you're a Gemini rising, then the full moon is going to be happening in your 9th house. So that illuminates higher education, higher thinking, philosophy, religion, spirituality, the law. So you may have some of those themes being activated. You may be wanting to study or to expand your knowledge and your awareness, or really delve into more sort of spiritual matters. And I should mention too that it means the sun in Leo is in your 3rd house. So that's kind of, it may also bring in issues relating to your siblings or the people you see day to day, or your sort of daily working, living environment, and very much matters of communication. If you are a Cancer rising, oops, there we are, Cancer rising, then you are going to have this new moon, a full moon, beg your pardon, in your 8th house. And then you will also have the sun in Leo in your 2nd house. So in some way your work, because this is where we earn our money in the 2nd house, the sun is really illuminating that area of self-worth and your value in the world. So literally your income, your talents, your ability to earn an income is illuminating your 8th house. And the 8th house is the area of, it's a difficult house because it rules karmic entanglements, other people's stuff, the things we can't control, the cost of life and of living. So, and it also rules transformation. So things can be difficult in the 8th house, but anything that is happening in the 8th house is transforming at a profound level. So if things are coming up for you, and it may relate to friendships, networks, where you fit in society. So if things are coming up that feel difficult in that area, keep in mind that it is in a process of transformation. The other thing, I'm jumping back out into the astrological sort of overview that I forgot to mention is, there are a couple of things about this lunation that make it more challenging. And one is that the moon is conjunct Pluto in Capricorn, and Pluto kind of naturally rules the 8th house. It is about transformation. It's about the deep, hidden, painful, traumatic stuff in our subconscious or in our past that may come up in quite a rupturing way that is very cathartic and profound and transformative, but may be difficult. So if you feel triggered, just remember that there is a really profound and important catharsis taking place here. This moon is also going to conjunct Saturn very soon, in a few days, and that's also difficult. So there are challenges around this moon, but they're really helping us to hone into where, what we're trying to do here in this life. So now if we put Leo on the ascendant, then we have this, the sun is in your 1st house of self, of your physical body and vitality, how you show up in the world, how people see you, and it is shining into your 7th house. So if you are a Leo rising, this full moon is really is charging the 7th house of relationships. It's illuminating life and really highlighting your dynamic relationship between self and other. And so with that moon also coming into a conjunction very soon with Saturn, transiting Saturn in your 7th house, it talks about the places that we need to develop maturity and discipline in relationships and in being able to fully self-express ourselves and also be receptive to the other. And there may be some challenges that come with that Saturn conjunction coming up soon. But again, it's very, hopes and dreams, the intention of our hopes and dreams are where we're going to be manifesting the outcomes in that relationship area, and in our relationship, in being able to have a really strong integrity in our relationship to ourselves and our self-expression, and therefore how we show up in our relationships. So if we put Virgo on the ascendant, I'm doing this really badly, Virgo on the ascendant, then the full moon is happening over here in the 6th house. And that means that the sun is in the 12th house. So this is a little bit of a more difficult one. So if you have a Virgo ascendant, I'm really bad at doing this, right? If you have a Virgo ascendant, it's a little bit more challenging because the full moon is happening in the 6th house, which rules health and work, but also kind of illness and the kind of work that feels slavish. And the sun is in the 12th house, which rules the things that we might be completely unconscious of. And it also rules self-undoing. So with the sun there, it's illuminating the places where we might be catching ourselves up, self-sabotaging, creating problems in our own life. And that may be showing up in areas of work and health. Now, having Leo in the 12th house means also that you're probably very creative if you're a Virgo rising, and being creative, using that energy and shining, being able to illuminate your creative expression into that area of health and work will be very powerful, I'd say. But yes, it may bring up sort of challenging stuff. And the idea for all of us here is to think about what intentions we're wanting to bring into the future. And how that plays out. So for Virgo, it really is highlighting what do you need to improve in relation to your health and to your work so that you can grow towards your aspirations for a healthy life and a good working life that doesn't feel like slavery and doesn't feel like you are always exhausted. And so you may be feeling exhausted now, potentially, as this is being illuminated. So with Libra on the ascendant, I've also done this upside down because, I'm really bad. Obviously, you can see how disoriented I am. With Libra on the ascendant, then you have the full moon in the 5th house. That's very nice. So areas of creativity, children, pleasure, romance are all being highlighted, with the sun in the 11th house of friendships, networks, associations, community, hopes and dreams. So there's really a strong focus on self-expression in friendship groups and bringing pleasure, illuminating where maybe we need to enhance the joy in our lives and playfulness in our lives. And that will also probably experience some challenges as the moon conjoins Saturn in this week. But again, it's kind of encouraging us to develop disciplines about how we can create more joy and more pleasure and play and risk-taking that is creative in our lives. With Scorpio on the ascendant, then this full moon happens in the 4th house of family. So, and then the sun is in the 10th house of career. So, or not just career, the 10th house rules what we do and how we are seen doing it in the world. In ancient astrology, it's referred to as praxis, the doing of life. So if you're retired, for example, you still have an active 10th house because it's how people see what you do in the world. So for Scorpio risings, what you're doing in the world is illuminating your relationships to family. And there may be some challenges again in those relationships with family, but the intentions that you want to be setting now are very much in relation to how you want family to be and how your relationships can be enriched by making adjustments now and by setting intentions, developing routines that are going to nourish how you relate to family. Yeah, I might come back to it in a sec. Okay, so Sagittarius on the ascendant, then you have this full moon in the 3rd house of communication. The moon this is known as the temple of the moon, this house. And so that's very nice. And the sun is in the 9th house of higher learning, philosophy, spirituality, higher education, etc. So there is perhaps there may be a strong sense of wanting to delve into a spiritual kind of thinking about your life and how you go about the day-to-day routines of your life, bringing something that's maybe of a stronger kind of philosophical basis, anchoring that in your day-to-day life. It might also illuminate issues with siblings and definitely issues relating to communication, how you communicate with the world, how you connect on social media, etc. If you're a Capricorn ascendant, then you have this full moon in the 2nd house of self-worth and money, and the sun is in the 8th house. So there, my landlord is about to knock on the door. There he is. 1 second, guys. I totally knew that was going to happen. I was actually going to say it at the beginning. My landlord was meant to come over yesterday, but here he is today. So yes, the 8th house for Capricorn rising is illuminating areas of self-worth that are based on possibly buried stuff that is coming to the surface, that is relating to self-esteem and self-expression, very, very strong, and that there is, that basically how you earn your money and how that's related to self-esteem is something that's really going to be growing over this period, and there's something being illuminated in that area for you. So with Aquarius on the ascendant, obviously this full moon happens in your 1st house of the self. So if you're an Aquarius rising, this is really illuminating. Again, it's on the relationship axis like the Leo risings, but this time the sun is in Leo in the area of relationships. So relationships may be making it clearer where you need to perhaps bring some discipline into your relationship to yourself and your vitality, your sense of self and how you show up in the world, and being truly expressed for who you are. So very much self kind of activating energy. And then if you are Pisces rising, then you are going to have the full moon in the 12th house and the sun is in the 6th house. So in this sense, really kind of connecting to your heart in relation to how you express who you are and the way that impacts your health and your work is going to really shine. There is the planetary hour of the moon, which has just started today. I haven't had it for a week or so, and it's just magically turns up when it wants to, and how perfect that it turns up today, as we were talking about Saturn. So it's illuminating the moon in the 12th house, which is the place that we retreat to, the place where, as I mentioned previously, it can be the house of undoing, where our actions catch up with us, but it's also the place where you can be very intentional, where you can take yourself away to really envision the future, to envision what you're wanting to create for yourself. And It's a very creative, I always think of the 12th house, if you're an artistic kind of person, if you write, if you are creative in any way, the 12th house is very, very powerful. And having the Aquarius in the 12th house means that you are a very unusual thinker, that you are, you do things differently. So if you're a Pisces rising, Noam, you're a Pisces rising, I know that. So this will be a full moon that really illuminates the relationship between your creative work and your health, and so your health, to avoid making kind of getting yourself into situations that are going to backfire on you in the long run, and instead really focus your energy towards creativity. So that's a rundown on where the moon is kind of activating those areas for you all. I thought that I would do, I feel like I'm racing because I don't want to bore you all, and I hope I'm not overwhelming you, but I thought that I would try and slow down a little bit, and we might do a little meditation. And then after that, the meditation is really kind of setting us up to make some intentions, to get clear about what we're wanting to adjust and reorganize, reassess, and kind of reorient ourselves towards in order to achieve the intentions that we're establishing for ourselves. Intentions that you have probably already, I would say you most definitely have already set in motion in your lives, and which were really activated with that Saturn-Jupiter conjunction in December. This full moon is like a reminder of those intentions. And as I said, these intentions are going to come to fruition, and they're going to go through all the normal challenges of growth and the entire life cycle, all the challenges and all of the boons and the areas of growth that are natural for anything that is coming into being over the next 20 years. But right now we have an opportunity to kind of recommit to our intentions, to make our vows. So I thought that I would get you guys to settle in to your spot, make yourselves comfortable, and feel yourself settle into your heart, and just breathe in just naturally, and just really feel the gravity of your heart, the heaviness, not in a difficult sense, but just in the kind of the centrality of your heart in your body, and begin to relax everything. Relax the top of your head and your toes. Feel them, wiggle them a little bit, and just let them relax. Feel the skin on the top of your head relax. Let your forehead smooth. Let your feet rest easy on the floor. Maybe you need to just kind of stretch out your ankles and then just let your feet rest. Relax all the small muscles in your face and your calves. Let your calves just drop. Relax the muscles of your neck and feel it balanced nice and easy on the column of your spine. Feel your thighs relax and spread where you're sitting. Let your shoulders fall away from your ears. Feel your bum just kind of really solidly sitting on its seat. Relax your arms and your belly. Just feel everything get heavy and relaxed. Feel the soothing weight of gravity. Start breathing golden light in through your nose. Imagine the particles of light traveling through your body, through your air passages and into the center of your body. Feel your heart and your solar plexus expanding with this glorious sunlight-like light. As you breathe in, feel your heart expand like a sun, and your solar plexus. Feel the light beams literally start to move beyond the peripheries of your body. And as you breathe out, maybe the light dims a little bit, it becomes a little bit like dusk. As you breathe in again, the sunlight fills your body, floods your body, and becomes gloriously bright around your heart. See the beams of light fill all the limbs of your body and shine beyond the edges of your body. And continue breathing this beautiful golden light into your heart. And as you exhale this gorgeous, warm, golden, life-giving light, feel your heart just tingle with this glorious radiance. And as you exhale, feel this light spread out into the world. As you breathe in again, the light from the sun, feel it fill your body, expand your heart. Feel your heart just luminous and joyous and golden. And as you breathe out, breathe that gorgeous energy into the world. Breathe in the light of the sun and breathe it out into the world as if you're a star. Breathe in again, gorgeous light, and breathe out, gorgeous sunlight into the world. And now feel yourself really anchored in that sun of your heart. Feel the peace and the fulfillment that is flooding you like sunlight. And imagine yourself sitting somewhere in this beautiful light, somewhere that's peaceful and beautiful and warm with golden light 20 years from now. Imagine yourself in your body feeling this beautiful anchored sun in your heart and experiencing an incredible sense of deep joy and gratitude for where your journey has carried you. Feel the peace and the surprise and perhaps even the humor of the journey that's led you here. Feel the deep and joyous gratitude for who you have become and what you've learned. As you breathe in this beautiful sunlight into your heart again and feel yourself in this space 20 years from now, feel into the shape of your life and into the qualities that you've cultivated in yourself and in your life. And feel the things that you are most grateful for, that you've worked the hardest to achieve, that you are so joyous about having achieved and having been able to realize in this life. And breathe in that gratitude and that beauty and love for every single experience, every challenge, every sorrow and hardship that has led you to this place of gratitude, of having achieved these aspirations, these hopes, these dreams that have come to fruition through those experiences that we have encountered. Every moment of heart connection, every moment of radiant, glorious love and connection that's led you to the realization of your truest intentions and that's allowed you to become who you truly are, this person who is grateful for the journey of their life. A child of the cosmos, filled with radiant potential, who's unique in form and uniquely empowered to realize the highest possibilities of who you are and to be alive and conscious in this time and place, to contribute your shining energy to the higher possibilities for your expression and the expression of the whole. Feel into this experience of having lived into your life, the glorious possibilities of your life, and keep breathing in this radiant light into your heart. Feel this sun-like Leo energy of the heart. Watch it glow and expand like the sun's rays into the space around you, out into the world, into your community, into your world. and feel that light course gently through your whole body and into your hands. And as you keep breathing that beautiful sunlight into your body, just feel yourself waking up a little bit from this visualization and feel that golden energy move into your hands. And when you have the urge, you might want to grab some paper and a pen, and you might want to write down some intentions, renewing your vows to yourself for the next 20 years. How do you want to feel in 20 years' time? What did you connect with? What were the feelings you connected with in that little meditation? How do you want your life to look and feel? What do you want to have achieved? What would your relationships look like? What are the material transformations that might have occurred? Write down everything that occurs to you, everything that you saw or touched or experienced in that little meditation. Spend a little bit of time just thinking about that. And then you want to turn over in your mind like a little jewel. Aquarius is like a little jewel. Think about, and also thinking of the diamond rain, Saturn's diamond rain. Think about what you might need to adjust in order to reach that place. What might you need to shift and change in your day-to-day routines, in your day-to-day, like literally today, or generally day-to-day, to reach that place? What's asking for adjustment? What kind of discipline will be required? What would you need to be disciplined about in order to achieve those dreams and those realizations? What needs to change, maybe in more radical sense? Where is radical action required? And where is the revolution taking place inside you now? We are seeing a lot of revolutionary activity in the world, but right now the most powerful place to be revolutionary is within ourselves, and to revolt against the old ideas and beliefs that have kept us small. So what is the place that you can feel inside yourself and in your life that's asking for radical shifts and changes? Where's your heart crying out for freedom and expansion? And what new routines or disciplines do you need to bring into play in order for your heart to achieve that kind of freedom? What are your intentions now? What routines can you introduce that will set up the opportunity for a state of grace and gratitude on a daily basis? And as I mentioned, Venus is a goddess that we can really call on at the moment. She's going to be in Venus all month, and she's going to help us create routines that create more beauty in our lives. So think about how you might be able to create some beautiful routines that really nourish and expand the beauty in your life. And write down everything that comes to mind for yourself. And if you would like to have your chart looked at, if you've been feeling like this has been a challenging time and you want to understand a little bit more about how that is directly playing out for you, if you'd like me to look at your Saturn, where your Saturn is falling in your house and what that means about where discipline is going to be most effective for you, where you're being asked in your life to develop maturity and wisdom, we can look at that. So if you'd like me to look at your chart, we can share it, because it's a great way to learn by looking at other people's charts and seeing how the dynamics are playing out. Pop your details in the chat. So I will need your birth date, birth time, and birth location, and I can put it in the chart. If you don't want to share your chart, but you do want to know, for example, about your Saturn, where your Saturn is, for example, You can just let me, and you know where that is in your chart. You can just tell me where Saturn is in your chart, and I will give you a sense of what Saturn looks like, what it's asking you to do in this life. A lot of astrologers do believe that Saturn is really the key, in a sense, to being able to do well in life and have a happy life, because Saturn is a difficult planet. But if we do the work that Saturn wants us to do, if we take responsibility, that's a big Saturn word, responsibility. If we take responsibility for ourselves and our lives, and are disciplined enough to follow through with that, then Saturn rewards us and life gets a lot happier and easier. So it is really helpful to know where Saturn is in your chart. I don't know if we still have anyone here. If anyone would like me to look at the chart, maybe I will. I know Anna's chart, so I will just have a look and we can use that as an example. I won't share it, but I will talk about Saturn in that place. So, okay, so Anna, you have Saturn in the 9th house in Aries. So with, yes, oh, you are there. Oh, hang on. Oh, great. Okay, excellent, guys. Beautiful, beautiful. So if you're happy to share, yeah, just put your birth details in there. Okay, but I'm going to start with Anna and Saturn. So Saturn has her Anna. Saturn has her Anna, and how happy Saturn is to have her Anna. Anna has her Saturn in the 9th house. So as I mentioned, the 9th house is the house that rules higher learning, higher thinking, spirituality, philosophy, the law. It's really in ancient astrology, it was called the house of God. And so it really connects us to higher thinking. That house for you, Anna, is in Aries. So that adds another layer of interpretation. It means that for you in this life, it is really important that you take action in relation to spiritual goals and spiritual growth, higher learning, philosophy. You'll be happier if you are disciplined in terms of taking action to expand your consciousness, your mind, your ability to learn, and you are doing all those things. And I do find it is, it's always amazing how people intuitively are doing what their chart says. Of course they are, because it's your chart. It's literally your map in life. But yes, so for you, with that added element of Aries there, it's very initiating. So it's initiating higher learning and initiating spiritual growth and taking action to, and also there's a tempering required. That's the other thing. Aries is a very impulsive sign, and Saturn is saying, no, we're not going to be impulsive here. We need to be steady and slow and one step at a time. We're going to build this knowledge and we're going to build this spiritual life one step at a time. So that is a little bit of an insight into how Saturn would work if it was in your 9th house with Aries, for example. Okay, so Danica, let's have a look at your chart. I'm just going to make a new chart. Okay, so we have 7th of September. And 1970, oh, shivers, on the wrong page there. 1971. Oops, too many windows open. Oh dear. Okay, September 1971. And did you tell me what time? Oh, 5:07, okay. Okay. Perth, I assume. Oh my goodness, I wish I had 2 screens, so it would be so handy. Oh, in Melbourne. Okay, great. Okay, so I can share my screen. I'm going to put 2 charts actually, so we can see where it is. And recently used full moon Aquarius. Okay, so let me see if I can share my screen. Okay, here's the double me. Okay, can you guys, actually let me just make sure, can you see my shared screen, guys? It's a little bit of a delay, so you are most welcome, Anna. Hopefully. Okay, I'm going to continue, even though I can't see the chat. I hope that you can see. So I'm just going to share a little bit here about how it might be playing out for you. So Danica, you have a Leo rising, just like Anna. So that means that the sun is transiting your first house, and that indicates that this illuminating energy is being focused on your sense of self, on your physical body, on how you show up in the world, and it is really shining its light into relationships. And you are experiencing some challenges in relationships because you have Saturn in the 7th house as well. And of course, this moon is going to connect with Saturn in the next couple of days. It's also it's just moved past a connection with Pluto. So you may be experiencing some challenges. The 6th house is a more challenging house. It rules difficulties. And the 7th house is your relationships, your love relationships, any important partnerships, how you relate to the other generally. And so this kind of need to be self-expressed, to be true to yourself, to be authentically who you are, is really shining a light into the area of relationships. And because you have your Mars at 11 degrees of Aquarius, you can see that the Saturn, which is transiting in the sky here, is almost exactly conjunct your Mars. So Mars is the planet of, it's our desires, it's our desire to take action. It's the things that we want that motivate us to take action in the world. And of course, they're the kind of the more positive. It's courage, also rules courage. On the negative side, Mars is a malefic and Saturn is a malefic. So at the moment, you may be feeling quite challenged in relationships, and this is being highlighted more because it is a full moon in your relationship house. Because the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction also happened in this area in December, it means that relationships are really important to you for the next 20 years. So in terms of the intentions that you are making in your life, relationships are very, very important to factor in. And you also have your North Node here in relationships, which shows that relationships are something that you desire, a good relationship, to have a great relationship that is kind of unusual. It allows you to be self-expressed, and it allows you to connect with the world in a way that's exciting and active, is very important to you. And it shows that is also, it's a trajectory that leads you forward into your life. Now we could go into heaps more detail too, because your planet, your Mars here, which is being activated by this Saturn, and then the moon at this point, is also making lots of other aspects. So that shows that, this is a really crucial area for you at the moment and for the next 20 years. So you really do want to be thinking about how the relationship, and you also, not only do you have Mars in the relationship house, but you have Mars transiting the house of you, and it's about to move into your house of self-worth and money. So for you, it is really important to be thinking about what you can change up and adjust and reorient in your relationships in order to achieve what you really want in relationships. What do you want to achieve in 20 years' time? What do you want your relationships to look like? What do you want to have achieved? Mars is wanting to get something done there. Saturn is really about achieving in that more kind of strategic, long-term, disciplined fashion, and how you want to mature in relationships. It will get easier as Jupiter moves back into this house. It's going to transit back here very soon. And that will make relationships feel more sort of exciting and expansive soon. This week, you may still feel some of these challenges. The moon is stuck between two very difficult planets here. And you have a difficult planet here. You're born 5:07 a.m. And your sun, hang on, where's your sun? So it was still dark probably, which means that Mars is actually more helpful for you. Mars is an evening star here in your chart. So your Saturn is also being activated, and it's over here in the 11th house. So there's a relationship here at the moment too, between friendships and connections and your relationships. So perhaps there's a need to create more balance between your engagement in friendships and relationships and your important one-on-one relationships. I hope that was helpful, Chook. Anybody else? Yes, Mars, would you like to look at yours? Let me have a look. Are you happy to for me to share your chart? Sorry guys, I'll stop sharing now. I'm sharing my oh, Wiley's there. Hey. Oh no, she's not. Oh my goodness, what have I done? I ended something accidentally. Oh my dear. I might have entered the recording by accident. No, I'm still live streaming. Oh my goodness, I've accidentally hit something. No, I'm still here. Oh my goodness, here we go. Thank goodness. Very accurate. Okay, great. Excellent. So Mars, are you happy to share your chart, or do you want me just to talk to it? And anybody else like to look at theirs? We might finish up soon. Let me get yours open anyway. I might have you in a different program. Damn it. I'm still there here. Oh, good. Thanks. There's a little delay. This is my first time ever using Facebook Live, and I'm sorry for the clunkiness, but it hasn't been as bad thanks to Anna helping me as I thought it was going to be. I thought it would be way, way worse. Now, let me just get you up, Mariana. My dear Mariana. Where are you? There you are. Okay. Okay, let me try and put you into my Astro Gold program. Okay, new chart and okay. Okay, great. So I will share your chart then, Mars. They've given me permission to do that. Thank you, darling. Okay, share my screen. Okay, get rid of this, sorry. My multiple views of myself. Okay. Oh, wrong one. That's you as well, but we're going to go into this one because we can see the full moon as well. Okay. So for you, Mars, you have the full moon happening in your 9th house. And your sun is in your 3rd house, so in Leo. So the 3rd house is, and you don't have anything in your 3rd house, which means that it's not so intensely activated on that side. However, you do have your sun in the 9th house. So this full moon is definitely kind of strengthening, reinforcing, illuminating your aspirations in life, like what the thing that motivates you to move forward and to achieve in life, your vital like life force and your spark and your intentions and aspirations and your conscious growth. All of that is being activated by this full moon. And for the next 20 years as well, this is where the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction happened for you, and it is in your house of God. It is a spiritual house. It's a house of higher learning, of philosophical thinking, of kind of the morality and the ways that we behave in the world, and a higher thinking and a more kind of spiritual approach. And this moon is happening exactly conjunct on your Mercury. And Mercury is the mind and communication and how you think. It's also astrology. It is. It can also be business. Aquarius rules, communities and society. And so it might be making you think about how you connect with friends and networks, and how you use your mind, and how you think about spiritual concerns, and how the matters of your everyday life, the 3rd house, which was the house of the moon, the goddess of the moon. The 3rd house rules kind of your everyday environment. Everyday environment. So the things that happen in your day-to-day life, the places you go, the things that you do in your everyday environment. So this full moon may well be activating for you questions and intentions about how you create a day-to-day life, what rituals you need to introduce into your life to create a better, more effective, more beautiful, more spiritually connected and evolved life, basically. Let's see, it's aspecting your ascendant as well. So this, but it's only a sesqui square, so it's not super intense. But it is, let me just check the grid. What's your Mercury doing? Your Mercury is conjunct the moon, obviously. And it is, actually, it's not going to help me to look because it's doing it to the full moon. I can't actually see what that aspect is. I think it's a sextile. Yes, it's sextiling your Uranus in the house of relationships. So that means that this moon is also probably bringing up some interesting, unusual thoughts and ideas about how you're going to go about relationships, especially love relationships, important other relationships. It's making you think about what you want to change and how you want to do things differently, how you want to make your relationships feel more kind of exciting, inspiring, and also spiritually connected. That is being activated for you because there's a sextile between the moon and your Uranus in the 7th house of relationships, and your Mercury as well. And this moon, the moon, as it moves through the sky, it acts as a trigger for planets. They all trigger each other, but the moon is the strongest trigger. So your moon, I mean, at the moment it's at 1 degree, and today, over the rest of today, it is going to trigger your Mercury. So you might want to think about today and like refine your intentions about how you want to change up your relationships, how you want to communicate in them, how you want to be heard and seen, how you want to engage your mind to feel more inspired creatively and spiritually in your relationships and in the world and in your life in general. And it is definitely also triggering your Venus, which is your Venus in the 8th house is really getting a lot of heat from Pluto, and that moon has also just touched Pluto. So of course, that, you know, it's been a really difficult time, triggering these deep kind of cathartic experiences relating to love and relationships and, you know, feminine issues. But there's a transformation happening. It's tough when you've got Pluto. I've also got Pluto on my sun. So it's tough, and but it is really transformative. And we're getting a little window at this point in time, I think, where we're seeing some of the ways in which that transformation is really powerful. And actually, it is like diamond rain. There's a lot of pressure, a lot of intensity, and yet something quite extraordinary is happening in this process. Yes. So the other thing about having the sun in Leo here is that it's also really encouraging you to be creative in how you communicate and to express yourself. The 3rd house rules communication, and Leo is about the self-expressed individual. So is Aquarius. So in that spiritual house, it's saying you need to express who you really are in a spiritual way. And really follow your heart and speak from the heart. That's going to be a guiding thing. And any way that you can be creative in your day-to-day life and in how you express is going to be really powerful. So let me see if there's anybody else who wanted theirs looked at. I hope that helped. Mars, my darling. So it's nearly 2:00, and I'm sure you guys have other things to get to, and I hope this has been interesting for those of you who've shown up. It's been just so magical, actually, for me to be here with you and to share and you know, look at your charts and think about how this energy is playing out for all of us. If anybody else would like me to look at their chart before we finish up, I'm very happy to do that. There's a little bit of a lag, but let me know. Otherwise, if there's anything else that you would like me to add or you know, check in on, let me know. Otherwise, I am hoping that you all can take a little bit of magic into the rest of your day and really kind of charge that beautiful Leo heart energy, that sun energy, into your intentions and into the texture of your day, and that you really feel into that future that you're creating. It is tangible. It is totally attainable. That discipline that we need to bring, Saturnity's will. Thank you, beautiful. My gorgeous friends, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me. And yeah, hopefully, I think I will do this again. It's been just glorious. Yeah, I don't know what else to say except thank you. My heart feels really full and full of sunlight because I'm just so touched that you all joined me today, and it's been really nice to connect into what's possible in the future and, you know, the material, practical responsibilities that we each have in our lives to, I forgot to mention people's Saturns. That was a bit dumb. Maybe I'll just quickly touch on those. We can do that another time. Anna asked for that. Maybe I will go down a rabbit hole if I do that. We can do that next time. Okay. Love you all so much. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'm wishing you magic for this Aquarian full moon and all of your intentions. I know they're going to come to fruition. I did yours, Anna. Yes. Yeah, I'm excited. When I think ahead to 20 years, I'm excited. For all of you as well as for me. I think we are going to do it. We have challenges ahead, but it's good to remember that, you know, they're part of the diamond rain, Saturn's diamond rain. Big love, everyone, and thanks again. And I'll see you soon. Big love. I'll still be here until I work out how to turn it off. Love you guys.